prepare yourself for an energetic, inspiring episode that's going to cover a lot of marketing ideas. Holy guacamole. Today's guest is Nick McHenry with OneShop Retail, one of my favorite people in the industry. I consider Nick a friend, and he is a partner of ours. And man, Nick gets marketing. He is giving you so many ideas today on what's working when it comes to retailers getting people in your door. Like, that's what we want. That's what we're here for, right? You have these stores, these amazing products. How do we get people to come inside and shop with us? I was blown away with this episode, and it was filmed in person at New York Now. And it was so funny because I did several of these sit down episodes, and Nick's had a crowd. People just like were listening to what he was saying, and they would just stop and listen, and another person stop and listen. And all of a sudden we just had this crowd of people listening to Nick. It was high energy. If you know him, you know that he just brings that energy and those ideas. And I am so excited to announce that Nick and I are going to be sharing the stage at Evolve with a co-presented topic about how to get customers in one more time. In today's episode, Nick talks about how it is incredibly challenging to get a customer to come back. So we're going to give you so many ideas at Evolve to get people to come back into your store again and again and again. And these will be super foundational as well as super creative. We're going to cover it all. So I can't wait for that topic. If you don't have your ticket yet, you could go to crystalmediaco.com/evolve. Use the code ROOTED to save $200 on your ticket just by listening to the show. All right. Nick has been on Rooted in Retail before. If you missed his episode, go back and listen to that. We'll link it in here. You can also search for his name because he talked a lot about a lot of great ideas in that episode too. Like, he's filled with incredible knowledge and is super rooted in retail. So let's dive in. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. Don't miss our live after the show every Tuesday night in the Rooted in Retail Facebook group. All right, here's today's episode. All right, Nick.
Hello.
Welcome to Rooted in Retail.
I am so excited to be in person on a, what are these things called? Comfy seats in the aisle of New York Now. Where else would I want to be on a Monday in August? I can tell you, nowhere.
Nowhere, I agree. I'm thrilled that you're back. This is your second time, and I am so happy we're in person. We are here, like you said, at New York Now. If you sell gifts, check out their market. They also sell online, nynow.com. Nick, for those of our listeners that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you and your retail journey.
Yeah, I, like most of us, I just accidentally fell, if you will, into it. I wasn't born and raised in it, but my first job ever was at PacSun at Mall of America. I'm from Minnesota, so why would I not want to just greet people and sell skateboard stuff? Like, I was skateboarding as a teenager, so like, this looks freaking awesome, let's do it. And then basically that one thing led to another, and I just never left, basically. So when I was 20 years old, I moved to New York City, where we are now. Only thing I knew was that at the time I wanted to work in fashion, not just retail, but specifically in fashion, in retail, and that's all I knew. So I moved here with like not knowing a single person. I did a bunch of different free internships, and then eventually I ended up in the, what we would call wholesale career. So kind of what is around us now.
Right.
So literally doing trade shows like this, selling luxury apparel to retailers around the world. And then eventually, I spent 10 years doing that, and I wanted to move on, if you will, something a little bit more involved. And I started this company called OneShop that I run now that was basically the flip side. I saw when I was working in wholesale, like all the opportunities in luxury, it's all about relationships and driving people in store and engaging them. I just saw this massive technical divide to be able to fuel software to basically help retailers of all kinds essentially do that same thing with technology.
Right, which is awesome that you did that. So now you're in the technology space.
I guess you could say I'm in the technology space.
Yeah.
But I prefer that not, even though it is technology, I love technology, absolutely. But I think the thing I like about our vein of technology is that it's still we work with physical retail specifically, and the reason we've set out from day one to work with physical retail, not that e-commerce is not incredible, not that it's amazing, but the reason that I or my team really got into this is for the physical experience of being in person, the tactile nature of being in a store. You walk in, the scent hits you right when you walk in, every little sensory element to it. Mm-hmm. We want to take the technology side of that and how can we infuse that with the real life kind of element to it. So that's really why we got into it.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that today. because I want to talk about automated clienteling, because I think some retailers might be like, what do you even mean by that? Why is this important? How can they leverage this type of technology? So break it down.
Yeah, so I think something that shifted when we started the company, this is 5 years ago now, we were working basically exclusively with luxury retailers. And luxury retailers, if you look at the numbers of their business, they'll have basically a huge amount of their business done from a very, very small amount of customers. So they'll have some customers spending literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a year at their store, and that's what drives their business. So because of that, they're able to do super, super high touch sales, if you will.
Right.
They can do most of their volume off of literally becoming your best friend. So knowing everything about you. Like oftentimes the sales associate knows more about the customer than the customer knows about themselves.
Yeah.
So there's this inherent trust of, okay, this retailer, like I walk in and I say, Crystal, tell me what I need. And you say, oh my gosh, you need this top. This would be perfect for you. I know you're going away next weekend. This would be amazing. It's August. You're going to go to Italy. You need this. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we started the business. And even when we started working with luxury retailers, we realized very quickly that amount of personal touch, just by nature of how many people a human being can interact with, is reserved for a very small amount of customers. So there's this misconception that even luxury retail, they just assume every customer in the entire customer base must be getting this super high level of support, which is just not the case. Even people we work with who a single seller will sell $2 million of business, will still only really have that really personal engagement with maybe 20 to 30 of their customers.
Yeah.
But even these luxury retailers still have hundreds of thousands of customers that have shopped there. So we started to think like, okay, if that literally can only be done with the human brain with a small amount of customers, let's say like 20 to 50, then what happens to the rest? And what happened before was there's such a massive fall off of, okay, there's super high touch and there's like newsletter emails.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's like this massive
extreme.
wasteland in between where it's like, wait, I get like super like black tie experience and I just get like every other thing I ever shop at, just broadcast emails.
Yeah.
So we started this idea of like, what's automated clienteling look like? It's basically just combining the two together. So having this thought process of how can every communication, every social media post, every email, every text feel like I was sent it to you personally. Like I personally knew everything about you, and use technology such as like stuff like OneShop or other things out there to basically automate that communication or send even more personalized emails or texts or loyalty programs to feel like it was built for you.
Yes.
And not feel like I'm just a number and like you and me have very different needs, but like it was personally built for you, and just taking this mindset and bleeding it across your entire business.
Yes, and so I think about Anna, who owns Pilar Boutique, who I love. I wear everything that she gives me.
Yeah.
And she knows me.
Yes.
She's gotten to know me, right? So in this sense of this automated clienteling, Anna, if she was using your platform, she could send out, hey Crystal, the Steve Madden dress that you already have in 5 colors, it came in a 6, and I know you love this color. Like,
right.
But it's automated.
Yep.
But it feels so personal to me. And I just feel like we talk a lot on this show about how do you stand out and how do you stop the scroll and how do you actually get people to act on your marketing.
Yeah.
This is the way.
So the thing that I love about Anna, I mean, you can really look at each channel individually. You can look at social, you can look at email, you can look at text, but they all have the same kind of underlying thought process behind it. And Anna does a great job on this. I've only seen her social. I have not seen her email and her texts. But for social, as opposed to just like going on there and saying, hey, this floral dress arrived, it's so amazing, basically talking about the features of the dress. So this floral dress is so cute, oh my God, look at how amazing it is. She oftentimes will like target exactly who it's for. She'll say like, for my ladies out there who love floral or are going to the beach this weekend, just by that sentence, you're already shrinking your audience. Some people will be like, I live in whatever, way up north, I'm not going to the beach next, and you'll just swipe next.
Right.
So you're very intentionally not making every single communication a like, hey everybody, check out this thing. You're thinking, how can I make this feel as if it's to one person? So what does that mean in terms of Instagram? What does that mean in terms of stories? What does that mean in terms of my email? At each of those tools, you just have different, like, basically additional tools at your disposal, depending on what the data is or what the data is not, and so on and so forth.
Well, I almost think of in that sense of, hey, if you're going to the beach and you love floral, you're allowing the algorithm to do its job and deliver the content, which is also like automated clienteling.
Exactly, 100%.
Like there's a lot of different ways you could do it, but that
exact thing could be gone to every single channel. So like even in our world, right? It's like, okay, you state the sentence on Instagram because by nature there is no like natural filtering, so you have to filter yourself. You say, this is for the ladies who love floral. Then you do an email. What does that look like? Okay, let me filter for people last year that bought all of our brands that are floral and have not shopped in 6 months. great. Those are people who probably want to buy floral this summer now. So it's like, great. Now you can target that email as opposed to just hitting send to everybody, hoping that the people that want your message find it, thus like watering it down and making it feel less personal.
Yes, totally. Okay. Now, on the same note, I want to talk about loyalty because you guys are obviously a good platform for loyalty, and I feel like you've got so much information from a loyalty perspective. So with the shift towards omni-channel retail, how can retailers leverage loyalty programs across different platforms, in-store, online, social, to create a seamless and rewarding experience for their customers?
So there's going to be a shocking answer to this that in 2024 seems insane. But first and foremost, it's just step one is to offer a loyalty program that can go across channels.
Yes.
I would say, I mean, even with us, like one of our most common use cases for when people buy our platform to begin with is that they currently have a program that cannot both earn and redeem points across online and in store, which seems crazy in 2024. So it's like in an omnichannel world, like yes, you should at the very least, first step one is allow your customers to earn and redeem points both on your website and in store. Until you check that box, you really can't do anything else when it comes to omnichannel. Then, now it's starting to think about each channel separately. For my online customers versus my in-store customers, they have a very different experience. So how can I start to reward different actions as a part of my loyalty program inside of my online business and inside of my store business and on social in different ways? So how can I, incentivize different actions for people that shop online? How can I give them maybe different benefits because they're different? They might not live in my town. You're not gonna give an extra benefit for, hey, anybody who stops in on Saturday from 12 to 3, you get a free gift with purchase. That's just not gonna be a thing that's as special to somebody online. You could still do it, obviously, but thinking native to that environment and starting to now divide them once again to personal as opposed to watering it all down and just being like, here's a promotion for every channel. You wanna have different incentives per channel once it actually is flowing between both of them.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. And they could do this with OneShop.
They can absolutely do this. I think, and listen, it seems like a stupid, at top level, it's like, why would this be the case? How could it possibly not be that? I didn't even realize it was actually as big of a problem until we got into it, which is most companies today, a lot of people use Shopify for the whole thing. A lot of people use Shopify for online, and a lot of people use Shopify for in-store. That being said, not everybody uses Shopify for e-commerce, and even though Shopify is a dominant player in e-commerce, they are not as dominant a player right now in point of sale. Like our most common scenario is point of sale A and Shopify, and point of sale A is not Shopify, or Shopify and some other e-commerce platform. That's less common, but so it's a kind of a hard technical problem to actually be able to go both places. And with our platform, it's like we integrate the point of sale and e-commerce, so there's some work on the back end that has to be done to unite those points, so that way I can actually carry essentially two profiles across e-commerce and in-store. So under the hood, it's a harder problem than it actually is in person.
Yeah, but that makes it easier for the retailer.
It makes it way easier for the retailer, exactly.
It is time to think differently about retail and about your store. And it's really important that we're thinking differently about customers and what's going on in the world because let's face it, things are changing quickly. And if we're not evolving, we are being left behind. That is exactly why I created the conference Evolve. And I would love to see you in the room April 4th and 5th in Denver, Colorado. And just by being a listener of the show, you can save $200 on tickets. You can go to crystalmediaco.com/evolve and use the code ROOTED to save $200. That's ROOTED to save $200. Now, here's the deal. This agenda is fire. You can see the speakers on that page, but we're talking about all aspects of retail, new ideas for your store, things that you can add in to create revenue streams where you're making money in your sleep. Would you like that? I bet you would. I'm so excited for that topic. We're talking about marketing, social media, how to build a strong foundation. We're talking about money and profits. We're talking about exit strategies in case you are planning an exit. We are covering so many aspects of retail at Evolve that you're not going to want to miss this content. It's going to help you be a better business owner. Plus, you get to connect with all the other retailers that are going to be in the room and the retail pros that we're bringing in. So get your tickets. There's a solid chance we're going to sell out. And the longer you wait, the prices will be going up. So get your tickets today, and I can't wait to see you there. Yeah, they need that too. Now, you said something, we were at the Retail Success Summit conference last week in Michigan, and you said, what did you sell the customer versus what did you learn about the customer? So can you elaborate on this perspective and how it can transform a retailer's approach to customer loyalty?
So I think this is something that people that are native to direct consumer from the get-go people who like start on e-com and like basically build their business running Facebook ads learn right off the bat because they know the power of like actually getting a customer to shop repeatedly, and they look at lifetime value from day one. Us like average Joe brick and mortar retailers, not like in a bad way, but people who have been in the business for decades, I think that the whole industry, myself included, has trained ourselves to be short-term mindset. So like, what sales did I make today? Like every metric we have. When I worked in retail, it was always about like, how much did you sell today? Like, did that customer come in? What's our conversion rate? What's our average units per transaction? How many customers do we convert that day? We're just looking at that day in like a small window. When in reality, we want to start looking at customers in the entirety of our store. So what is the lifetime value of that customer and how frequently they're shopping? Once you widen out the lens and say, all right, I want Crystal to shop here for the rest of her life. I could care less what she buys today. I want her to shop here once a month. If I'm a home store, I want her to buy every single thing in her house forever in my store. And I want to build an environment that's the case. So then, now you're switching from, if you look like at a dating mindset, it's like, okay, if I'm trying to not date someone long term, I'm just trying to like, look at my short-term incentives. We don't go too far down that rabbit hole. But it's like, okay, I've got a very different approach. That like, I want to marry this woman or marry this guy. And then it's like, okay, I'm not focused on the sale. I'm not focused on that first thing. That actually is not that important in this scenario. Right. It's how am I learning about that person? So as opposed to a sales mindset, it's now a learning mindset about the customer. So you shift from, hey team, what do we sell today? Who do we sell to? What was our number? To what do we learn about the people that walked in our door that will enable us to have a longer relationship with them? Yes. So actually putting in processes to understand your customer, understand their future needs, understand what they're gonna want from you as a business, and then taking that, ideally storing it somewhere that you then can utilize it later on to make your communication better, make your interactions better, thus just naturally being more personal and extending the lifetime value of that customer versus just, thank you so much, have a good day, goodbye, next.
Yes, exactly, moving on. Well, in this, you said your communications, using this information on what you're posting on social and what you are emailing out, it's gonna help that retailer connect with their customers on a deeper level because they're really understanding them in a much bigger picture than the sale today.
And just changes the whole, I'm talking specifically for a store, but it changes the whole dynamic of you solve so many problems at once. Not just like your marketing problems like later on the road, but you also solve just making a better experience from them, right? So as opposed to walk in and say, how can I help you? Or what can I help you find today? Those sentences are inherently like A, B, C. Yeah. What can I do to help you close the sale today, right now? That's like the car dealership mentality. Right. As opposed to like, hey, what are you looking for? Or like, hey, can I help you like style this? Or like, why are you looking for what you're looking for today? Are you in town? Are you local? Are you not local? Do you have kids? Like, what do you do for work? Just understanding, and obviously not being creepy about it, but just by understanding more about them, like their experience will just be way better and everything will flow from there.
Yeah. Well, and again, I have to think of Anna because I'm like a loyal shopper with her and I've had such a good experience. She would ask me a lot of questions. I came in and I asked her like, can I come in and just shop and you pull stuff for me? And she's like, yeah, I'll be there. So as I'm trying on some stuff, she's asking questions, getting to know me. Right. Well, I told her I'm getting married. So she's like, okay, do you have anything picked out for the bachelorette? Where are you going? So then she goes and shops as I'm trying stuff on. I just feel like this would be a great dress for the bachelorette. Yeah. Are you doing a bridal shower? What about this dress? And then of course I bought it because then it's easy and I liked what she picked. And so she's getting to know me. But then you also said storing. Like they need to store that information somewhere. Yep, and so is that what they're doing in OneShop or they're doing that with their POS? Or how are they actually taking this information and storing it?
Listen, for sure in our platform, and obviously like everything I'm saying here, I'm not gonna lie, like we built our product because I believe in these things and like we're trying to embrace that. It doesn't have to be like having a CRM like OneShop where you can immediately, the minute they go into the fitting room, pull up Crystal's profile and say, she is getting married, she's going to Vegas next weekend, and just storing that. Because at the end of the day, you need to store it somewhere. The human brain, we all work in retail. If you have 30 interactions in a day, you might remember one of those and it just got washed away so fast. So putting the notes into OneShop, but it can literally be a notebook. Like you don't need to have super advanced technology. Most people don't even do that. Even if you have literally a notebook of like, oh, Crystal came in today, she does this. Of course, that has challenges later down the road when you want to pull up Crystal's profile. So a technology like OneShop or other CRMs would obviously, or your POS, are obviously like much more helpful because it's easier to pull up. But just starting the practice of doing that, if you're not doing that, which I can almost guarantee a huge percentage of people listening to this are not even doing that first step. I know. Just starting to take that action will then lead to adding technology. I think sometimes we try to look at technology to just solve my problem. Like, I want to be more personal, solve my problem. It's like, okay, if you just started the actual habit of asking people questions and taking notes, now you'll find technology to solve that as you start to like formalize that habit.
Right. Yep. It's so true. So anybody listening to this, if you don't have that data, if
you don't have that data,
storing it,
you got to get
tracking
it.
Something you've got to get it. It will make your marketing so much better. Now, what are some key strategies retailers can implement to ensure their customers keep coming back, and how can platforms like OneShop Retail assist in building these loyalty programs?
I mean, I think that the number one, I know we talked a lot about mindset. I really do believe that. Like so much of this is just like changing the way you think about what your business is.
Yeah.
Like changing from a one-time purchase mentality to a lifetime purchase mentality.
Yep.
Looking at visits versus daily spend. Just starting to change some of these metrics all of a sudden trickles into everything else you do. I would say from what we can see, the most tangible thing you can do that most people are not doing is starting to focus more on frequency of the visit itself. So like we looked at this metric and we basically found that almost in every scenario, frequency is the best determinant to how much they'll spend over their lifetime with you.
Okay.
Of course, you have people that want to redecorate their whole house. They come and they're like, I just bought a house, give me everything.
Yeah.
But that's not the case you want to be building for. You want to be building for the person who's like, I've had my house for a while, I'm just going to like continually add something over time for the next 10 years.
Right.
So starting to focus on, but just looking at like the number of visits they bought, that to me is like the number one thing you start doing. So for example, with loyalty, most loyalty in most industries, like you have two types of loyalty basically. You have the coffee shop mentality, which is like, okay, I get 9 coffees and I get a 10th free. It's like a card that we all familiar with. The reason that works is because most people, when you buy a coffee, spend in a very small range of dollars. It's like 1 coffee to 3, like $5 to $15 is sort of my range.
Yeah.
In most retail scenarios, like furniture or house or apparel, there's a high variance in spend. So we've all reverted to a point system, which is like, okay, how many dollars do you spend? Based on how many dollars you spend, whether it's 1 time or 5 times, we're gonna reward you for those dollars spent. And yes, like if you put the bars high enough, eventually you do have to spend more often to get there. But I think just switching that a little bit and either being like Whizbang and Bob Negan have this great program called the 6-Box program, where they do a combination of those two things. So combining visits and spend and then rewarding both of those. And that means that like, okay, after I've shopped 5 times, now I get my reward.
Yeah.
Or you could even just do the opposite. You could even be like, hey, for your 5th visit at our purchase, here's this extra big benefit we're gonna give you. We're gonna give you a bunch more points, or we're gonna give you a VIP status based off of frequency.
Yes.
And then the like other thing is just at the very top of the funnel is, I think most people, almost all fall off happens from the first purchase to the second purchase. In almost all businesses, if you chart their like trend of fall off of customers, we can get really nerdy in the data here, but most of the fall off happens from the person who shops first time, never shopping again. So I would say just taking that one data point and being like, what can we do to make this first time shopper shop with us again?
One more time.
One more time.
Yeah.
Our only goal is to take the one-time shoppers and make them a second-time shopper.
Yeah.
We've had some customers, literally, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but they're so focused on getting that first-time shopper to turn to second-time shopper, if you just go longer and longer, they will just continually offer you a greater discount until you shop a second time. So to say, hey, if you're first time shopping with us, here's 10% off your next purchase. Then they'll wait a month and they'll say, here's 20%. Then they'll wait another month, they'll say, here's 30%. They will literally go until they're giving a $100 gift card.
Wow.
So like a year and a half later, just because they're like, we will do whatever it takes.
Gotta
Because we know if you shop a second time, then your fall off goes way down and you can shop a 3rd or 4th or 5th time.
Interesting.
So starting to just look at these data points and put strategies in place, I think is the number one thing you can do.
Yes, I love it. I love the idea of our listeners. I almost see that on a piece of paper one more time.
Yeah.
We
We don't do this in OneShop right now, and I'm frankly, I don't know if this will be a feature or not. I'm obsessed with this idea lately, doing non-spend visits, like almost like the old Foursquare mentality. Remember on Foursquare?
Yes.
Where you're like the mayor of a restaurant?
I was working so hard to be the mayor of the Denver airport.
Exactly. So I almost love this idea
Yes.
and I wish, maybe we'll implement it in the software someday, but I almost love this idea of like gamifying your store, where you come in, you don't buy anything, guess what? You still get a benefit from us. Like you still get one more checkbox to your loyalty program. You don't even have to buy anything. Come hang out and like hang out on our couch, and that person that's on your couch every day, maybe they'll become your best customer. I'd be willing to bet that most times the people that come pretty frequently, maybe they're not your best customer, but they're up there if you just incentivize them to come hang out in your store all the time.
I used to have a topic about using Foursquare
Oh, really?
for retailers and helping their customers go to Foursquare, check in to their store, become the mayor of the store.
Right.
And then I'm like, you could have a picture, you could have an area that's dedicated to you. Like,
I love this. Even if your customers are coming in just because like, well, the app tells me I get this extra thing if I come 30 times, like come in 30 times. I'll see you every day for the next month.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's a cool, fun way.
Yeah.
Like, let's have fun with the loyalty. That's a fun way to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what is loyalty? I mean, loyalty is basically you showing your cards of like, here's the money I'm willing to give you for you to keep shopping with our store.
Yeah.
You're just giving the customer a rule book, and that's why they love it so much. They don't want to just like be in secret.
Right.
But I totally agree with you. It's like, okay, that's just like, you can make, it's a game at the end of the day, and a game can be really boring, or it can be incredible, and it can be fun for everybody. It doesn't have to just be this like dollars for spend exchange where it's like, you shop, we'll begrudgingly give you $10 off.
Right.
It can be this super fun thing, super magical thing, which is why we always recommend to like name your program, make it super fun, put in surprise and delight, things that just like you would never think about. We were just in Whizbang a couple weeks ago? Last week. And I was telling you, I remember standing next to you on the last day, we had dinner and we walked up to this like open rotunda area, and there was like hundreds of people doing West Coast swing. Just out of nowhere, like in the middle of a park. And we just jumped in there, and out of nowhere, it's like we're dancing, we're like laying on our back while Snow Patrol is playing, and someone's chasing us in chalk. And the reason that's so incredible is because it's the last thing you'd expect in that moment.
Exactly.
So I think that we're, especially with retail, we're so trained as customers just in the monotony of like, I come, I buy, you give me my points, and I shop. So how can I like give some sort of like unexpected thing to happen in there where like I'm just jolted awake? That's why you train your sales staff not to ask, hey, what can I help you find today? Because everyone's immediately gut reaction is, oh, I'm just looking. Even if it's like, why did I say that? I actually do want help. So how can you make something unexpected but amazing happen in that experience? And that's how you should be thinking about your loyalty program in the midst of just like the program itself.
It's so true. We want to make it memorable, different. That was such a fun night.
We
both were like, this
such
is
a fun
the
night.
Coolest thing. It's so awesome. So Nick, what are you working on at OneShop right now?
I mean, I think our goal, what we've learned over time, and listen, it's been a little bit more of an ambitious goal than we had thought maybe a year ago, but I think what we've committed to now is we want to service independent retailers and give them everything they need in a store and online environment, with the store as the epicenter of this, to engage their customers in every single channel in this personalized way. So starting with the loyalty program being the foundation, we launched loyalty a year ago, and pretty much 100% of our retailers are now on our loyalty program and not just on our marketing program. But then what happens off of that is you communicate via email, you can communicate via text, you do it in an automated way, you do it in a one-to-many way, you do it in a one-to-one way. You have your POS and you have OneShop, and that's all you need to both ring your sale, but more important, like build that community and continue that relationship with your customers. I think our goal is, how can we make it easier and easier for that relationship to be more and more personal? I think we've made good strides in helping some of these low-hanging fruit, like, okay, how do you recover a customer if they haven't shopped in 120 days? How do you convert this first-time shopper to a second-time shopper? I think the most exciting thing I'm excited for the next 12 months with OneShop is, now that we've got the foundation laid, how can we take this like surprise and delight, how can we take some of these more extreme things to the next level with technology?
And you're gonna do that. You're obviously doing it, and I can't wait because you're gonna generate some really cool case studies. And I hope you'll come back, you'll talk about it. You've got some good stuff to share. All right, Nick, you ready for the resilience round?
Let's do it.
Okay, best business book.
So, my best business book, and I've got a couple answers for this because I have different business books for depending on like what thing I want from it. My favorite business book is this book called How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. He was the founder of Maxim magazine and a bunch of other British magazines. It's basically just like, I feel like I go back to it every 2 years. It's just like, it's pretty raunchy if I'm being honest, like the whatever, but so don't go in if you're offended easily, but underneath it, it's got like the most straightforward, like do this, do this, do this, do this to build a business. It's called How to Get Rich, but I would say it's more, how do you build a business in the quickest, most efficient way possible? And then I know I'm probably not supposed to do two, but my more applicable like day-to-day one is this book called Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. He wrote it in literally 1997, and if you read it today, it's like this guy predicted the world. This is pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, pre-everything, pre-Amazon, and it's like, you could read it today in 2024 and think it was written 3 months ago. It's like a crystal ball into the world of marketing that I read probably once every other year, and it feels like this guy's talking about today. It was written in 1997.
That's nuts. Okay, I have to check that one out. I love Seth. Okay, how do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
I keep up with it by making a commitment to be in retail all the time. So I think I try to train my team on this also. I mean, we're on the technology side, so even my developers, they sit behind a computer literally all day. every time I do anything, if I go to Starbucks, if I'm traveling, I try to go to as many retail experiences, buy something, and just try to like almost close my eyes and immerse myself in it and think about, how could this be improved? I know it's nerdy, by the way, but like, how could this be improved? What's missing? Like, my friends hate me because they hate going to Starbucks with me, because I'm like, hey, do you guys notice the thing? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's the sign. It could have been over there, because that sign's over there. It could be here.
Yes.
So I think just being super kindly present, I'm just like constantly spending time in the real world, thinking about how things could be improved or changed or updated. And that's how I try to stay up to date on what's happening.
Yeah, totally. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a marketing best practice?
Constantly be ruthless about building your list. Every single place. If I could get a tattoo on my arm that said subscribe to my email list, I would. Maybe I'll do that someday.
Oh no, I bet you will.
Like literally every single place you do, my mom, and I learned this from my mom actually, so sorry, like a slight tangent, is when I grew up, my mom owned a bar and dance studio, okay? She had this thing to build her list that was like, she'd hand out her business card and it said, free half an hour ballroom dance lesson. And she gave it to freaking everybody. The dentist, the doctor. If you were giving her a willing, she'd be like, hey, free half an hour ballroom dance lesson. As a part of that, you had to give your email list for that.
Yeah.
She gave it to I had broke my leg as a kid. She gave it to my surgeon. He became her best customer over the next 10 years.
I love it.
So to me, it's like as a retailer, you should be gathering email addresses, things that you actually own, not just social media subscribers, literally everywhere you possibly can in every single moment.
Yep, that's a good lesson she taught you. It's a good one. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do different?
So I always answer this the same way, and everyone always laughs at me, and I'm not sure why, because my answer is I would do everything differently. Literally everything differently.
Yeah.
Guess what? If I reflect what I was doing in business 2 months ago and say, what would you do differently? Same answer.
Yeah.
Literally everything. Because, I mean, it's not literally everything. There's obviously things that I appreciate that I've done in the past.
Right.
The problem is like, if I'm constantly trying to improve myself and constantly trying to learn, even the things I did right, now I know what I know, I would do slightly differently.
Yeah.
I would hire different people. I would launch products in a different order. I would think about how to reconfigure things in a different way. So the answer is like, I literally would do every single thing differently if I could do it again.
Yeah.
That being said, I know it's not a super helpful answer.
No,
So
I like it.
my more helpful answer, which I tell all my friends, like often as friends come up to me and say, I want to start a business, I want to go into business myself, what would my advice be to you? And what I did not do enough when I started my business is envision what I actually wanted to be in life in the future, and then build my business around that outcome. I think as a 20-something-year-old building a business, I was just like, I want to build the biggest business on earth, let's go.
Yep.
As opposed to thinking about what life do I actually want to have, and then backing into that, as opposed to just like, I don't care, I just want to build a big business. I think I would have thought a lot more about that specific answer ahead of time.
That's so true. I agree with that one. What do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
I think that the future of independent retail, if I fast forward, let's say 5 years, 10 years, outside of the whole AI thing, is that retail is a lot less about what we sell and more about the community that we build.
Yeah.
So I think that every single, even today, even if you don't realize it, I think that every retail store, especially independent retail stores, are actually a community business where you're selling things, that's a part of your business, but your whole business is the community you're building and the feeling of community with your customers.
Yeah.
So I think that as time progresses, we're gonna start to see those lines blur even more. We're gonna see more retailers launching like membership clubs. We're gonna see more retailers launching like getaways, like a vacation with their best customers to go places, services oriented around traditional community businesses. I think retail is gonna look a lot more like that.
Yeah.
Where's this gray line of, okay, as opposed to just, I'm supplying you with a physical good, now this whole other element of other services I offer you because of the community itself.
Totally. Love it. How can people learn more and find you?
Nick McHenry on all social media platforms, everywhere, forever, for eternity. That's where you can find me specifically. Drop me a DM. I will always try to respond. Other than that, oneshopretail.com is the place that you can meet with our company, learn more about what we're doing, and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
Yep, thanks, Crystal.
Great. So good to be in person.
It's always amazing when our paths cross and be in person.
Yes, so good. Everyone remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great weekend. Bye.
If you listen to Dane Cohen, come listen to this episode afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.